We're live. I love when your live thing pops up. It makes me feel very important. Hi,
It's
everybody.
non-pandemic.
Yes, right. Hello, Facebook land. So, John Kilkenny, the director of the Swanee Summer Music Festival, here in Swanee, and I want to show the giant banner in our Swanee office, and I won't show all of the office here, but I'm very excited after 14 months or 15 months not being able to come here. My first trip outside of my zip code in Washington, or actually in Virginia, has been to Swanee. Really happy to be here. Our images are floating in front of Gary Auditorium, but if I were to walk outside right now, I'd actually be able to show everybody Gary. We are super happy to be back in person this summer with the music festival, with our instrumental programs, our composition program, our conducting program, our opera program, which is new for this year, and most importantly, we're just happy to be back and be able to be with our community of supporters and our community of musicians and performers that are here with us on the faculty, and everybody on the mountain that makes Swanee possible. So in the lead up to the music festival, starting in just about a month from today, I'm going to be checking in with various faculty and having conversations about the programs that they're going to be leading for us at the festival. I talked to Jorge last week about composition, and today I'm really happy and really excited to be with my good friend Gene Moon, who is the director and program, all the different titles that Gene has with us at Swanee. He leads our conducting program, our conducting institute, and also directs the Cumberland Orchestra. During the year when we are not lucky when we're not able to have Gene with us outside of the summer during the academic year, he's director of orchestral studies at California Baptist University. He's a sought after conductor, clinician, educator. He's guest conducts ensembles, professional ensembles, academic, university programs all over the nation, all over the world. Before COVID, we were trading trips to China. I think at one point we were trying to see if we were going to be there at the same time. And Gene, I'm so happy you're here with us today, and we could talk a little bit about the conducting program. So, Gene Moon, how have you been since COVID? Let's talk about that first. How you doing, Gene?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for the intro. And it's the realism of coming back into play, of making music and being back in person is really exciting. And this time of COVID and what we've been experiencing this past year and a half is through all the difficult times, there's been a lot of things that we've learned, and a lot of things that, frankly, I'm excited to share with and bring into the fold of what our art form needs to look like moving forward. And so it's been a learning experience going through COVID this past year, that's for sure.
Now, have you been teaching mostly, I know the answer to this, but have you been doing mostly remote work? Have you been doing any kind of in-person teaching? I know California, and particularly where you are in greater Los Angeles area, had some real challenges this year. So how have you been keeping up with your students and keeping your Cal Baptist folks engaged?
I'm going to say it's been about 70% virtual, 30% in-person. And the in-person components have mainly been at the leisure or the preference of the students. So I've had chamber ensemble experiences where we've done projects with opera scenes, and also we did a little recording project of the Wagner Sacred Idol. And so we've maintained a little bit of decorum of real in-person making music. But the bulk of it has been, of course, as we are all very familiar with now, making the virtual videos with the Brady Bunch squares and the audio engineering.
The Brady Bunch squares. I have to tell you, I cannot wait to not have to deal with that ever again, or at least not in terms of making music. I think this platform, being able to talk this way and stay connected with folks, has been a good thing for us. But boy, I can't wait to make music in person again. So I know you feel the same.
But again, though, it's that aspect of the Brady Bunch square. Believe it or not, a lot of my students, especially my string players, realized how badly they were playing with posture or just holding their instrument when they were able to see themselves in the video and notice how they positioned themselves in the video screen. And I would honestly say that if COVID and this virtual learning had not come about, they may never have actually looked at themselves that carefully through those lenses. And so now that they see themselves, they realize what it means to look like having your instrument upright, correct. And also from a conductor's point of view, what it means to have your shoulders really squared back as you conduct. and a level. So those are the little things that we learned from this that we need to bring back and retain a little bit.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody that I work with has definitely gotten over their recording anxiety, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
have to make a video for this competition or this screening or that, and it's like, oh, I have to do now. Folks are just doing it, and I wish we didn't have to live through all this other stuff to get people over that. But I
Right.
think you're right. I think using the technology we have as a teaching tool has been really useful for us. So, but thankfully, we're not talking about Zoom teaching this summer for the music festival. We're in person, and we're going to be able to be in Swanee, and that's large part due to the great work and the great way that the folks here at Swanee have dealt with COVID. And so we have a lot of precautions in place and a number of plans for keeping the orchestra a little bit more spread out. I was just in Gary Auditorium. For those that know Gary, there's a shell. The shell is gone. The shell is likely to stay gone. Surprise, Gene, I didn't tell you about this. So we're going to have some more space in Gary for our longtime Swanee veterans that might see this. You'll recognize it. It's the old Gary that we used to use pre-shell, which actually gives us a lot of space. We have all new venues and places we're going to be using this summer. There's some incredible tents on campus where we're going to be able to do stuff that sort of bring an indoor space outside. So we have tenting and all that kind of stuff. So we're really happy to be back. And tell us a little bit about, Gene, you started a conducting program for us 2 years ago now. I guess it was maybe in 19. And we had plans to build it out in 2020. We're now building it out in 21. We have a number of really great students coming this summer for conducting. Tell us about what they're going to do. What are your plans and aspirations for the conducting program?
My hope for the 4 weeks that we spend time together is not only looking at the score and how we prepare music as musicians, as conductors, but also really learning about how we communicate with our constituency, which is the orchestra, and how to build those relationships. I think from a young point of your career, one of the most daunting experiences for a conductor to do is to reach out and say hello and actually meet their orchestra members, get to know them. And so I'm really looking forward to integrating our conducting apprentices with, in this case, the Cumberland Orchestra, whom I will get to work with throughout the 4 weeks, and letting them build a relationship so that when they do get on the podium, which is an important facet of the Conducting Institute, is to give our young conductors podium time, is that if I give you 15 minutes on that podium, you have to make it the most effective and impactful 15 minutes. But in order for you to have those 15 minutes of impact, there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes before that, in which they must prepare how they're going to speak and what kind of relationships they've built with the musicians and how well they know their music. And so that's going to be a lot of what these 4 weeks are about, is kind of the hot and cold of the faucet, getting you on the podium, getting you off the podium, on the podium, off the podium. And it's a fast-paced world. And sometimes you only have 10 minutes to impress and express. And that's going to be a little bit of what the conducting apprentices are going to experience. Show me 10 minutes of bedazzle, and that's all you get.
I like that. Impress. What was it? Say that again. Impress and
impress to express.
Yeah, I like that. It's good. So, I mean, Swanee has always been a festival. I was a student at the music festival back in the dark ages, and Swanee has always been a program that was very hands-on. I think that Martha McCrory, who ran the program for a long time, believed that the stage was the best teacher for any student, and that you could have all the theory and all the discussions and all the ideas that you want, but at the end of the day, you have to get out there on the stage and you have to do it. And you have to know what it feels like. And so it sounds like students that are going to come work with you, I mean, we've kept that tradition going with all of our programs. And it certainly sounds like the conductors that are going to work with you are going to have that kind of experience, right? It's going to be, yes, there'll be theory and there'll be study and there'll be that kind of work, but the best way to learn how to conduct is to get out in front of an ensemble, right? Any kind of ensemble. So they're going to work with, yeah, go ahead, please take it.
The beauty of it also is that learning how to become a conductor is not just on one side of the conductor stand. And so, yes, it's important for, of course, the conductor to be able to understand the mechanics of floor, door, window, ceiling, and also how to give cues. But The art of conducting is also learned by being in the musician's seat. What is that second violinist looking for in the baton? What's that principal flute player looking for in the stick technique of the conductor? And so for the Cumberland Orchestra, this is going to be a great experience because they don't need to see even 3 weeks of me. I know we have our very good friend, great friend, Christopher Ciccone coming in, and he's going to have a blast with them. But having our conducting apprentices in front of the Cumberland Orchestra is going to force the members of the Cumberland Orchestra to be very active and engaged with the baton and with the person on there. And it's going to train them to be better purveyors of what a conductor is supposed to be. And in turn, one day, they may be on the podium as well. As you know, at Sewanee, we also have a conducting elective, which students may elect to take. And we'll have our own little lab orchestra that occurs on Wednesdays and Fridays. And so what they glean from seeing me work with the apprentices with the Cumberland, they'll also be able to put into practice with our lab orchestra that we have on Wednesdays and Fridays.
It's very cool. A lot of hands-on work for the conductors. And so speaking of Cumberland, we've been talking about the Cumberland Orchestra, and when we were planning the season, it's a lot of we always put a lot of effort into programming, and you and I have great discussions about the repertoire you want to bring forward for the students. This year, particularly, we had some additional variables, right? Including obviously dealing with COVID, but also looking more intensely at programming a broader, more diverse array of composers. And I think that this is something that I'm very happy that the music festival started before this year. Frankly, started it before my tenure. I mean, Sewanee has, if you look back at our programming, certainly for the last 10 or more years, there's been really intentionality behind the programming, right? Women composers, underrepresented communities of composers across a whole range of areas. But obviously we refocused our attention on that this year even more. So take that, but also just take a little bit more about what you're looking at doing with the orchestra and how you're thinking about putting people back together again after not playing for a year, right? I mean, this is a pretty extraordinary thing to have to do. How are you thinking about all that?
Well, I like our approach this summer, and that is we have our fair share. Each program has its large full orchestra piece that will have the full forces. But then we have chamber works that are involved. We have the Strauss Serenade just for our wind players. And we have Jesse Montgomery's very famous work now, Starburst for string orchestra, which I just heard the Hollywood Bowl strings play with Dudamel over the radio the other day. And those are condensed, smaller groups. And I think it's what's going to be is a way to get all of our students. The truth is that all these students are coming from different places within the nation. They know their home high school or college program and their bands and orchestras. But we got to remember that every single year when you come to Sewanee, it's a brand new ensemble that's only going to happen one time in a lifetime. No Sewanee orchestra has ever looked identical year by year. And so This is a unique orchestra, more unique than ever before, especially this year. And so there's going to be that longer acclimation time to get to know each other, how each other plays, our mannerisms. And so I really look forward to the way that we programmed, because we have large full orchestra works along with smaller chamber works so that the students get that chance of intimacy they need, so they don't feel like they're just doing, it's not just like Mahler, 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 Mahler. And so I like that programming. Other things that we have planned, of course, is things like classical things like the Schubert Unfinished Symphony, along with a great the quartet percussion concerto that we're doing. I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, that's going to be super fun. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, it'll be. We're talking about Viet Cong's renewal concerto, percussion quartet concerto. We're doing with myself and Phil O'Banion, my percussion faculty here at the music festival, and two of our students here with us this summer will be playing that with us. Yeah, that's going to be super fun. And what a neat program, right? We'll have Schubert Unfinished and this brand new, relatively new, last couple of years, percussion concerto, and just some really great programming that you put together. We'll have some vocal chamber works on the program, on different orchestra performances. So it's really going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be a new repertoire for our students, but also a chance to reconnect with things. And Something that I've been thinking about. We always have these discussions. Every program does. Every university does. Every summer program does. Students wanting to know what chair they're going to be in. What orchestra am I going to be in? Am I in the first violin section, or am I playing principal? And I really hope this year, and maybe I'm saying this in a wish as well as a hope, that a lot of that goes away, and everyone is just so. I don't know about you. I'm just so happy to be able to see everybody again. I got here the other day, and it was like every time I see folks in Swanee, it's 20 minutes of just talking, and very, very emotional to see everybody. And I really feel like that this last year and a half has maybe made us recenter what really matters, right? And so it's people and the connections we make through music. And it really doesn't matter what chair you're sitting in, and it really doesn't matter, if this person's playing the part, you should be playing principal, and why aren't I playing? Thank God you're getting to play music, right? Because we haven't been able to do that together for the last.
It's been what's intriguing to me is I've been making my rounds and visiting high school programs and all the programs that are back in person in rehearsals, and they're all socially distanced chairs. So frankly, first chair doesn't look like first chair anymore, and it's just
that's a good point. I didn't think of that. Yeah,
it's interesting the way that the chairs are socially distanced in an orchestra setting. There's no more identity of which one's first, second, or third. I don't even know where the second violins began when I look at some of these ensembles, and so it's interesting. It's almost very reflective of a way that we should be looking at our society and in our world in the first place. Is that there is no need to know who is number one or number two. It's the fact that we can't do this unless we're just all together, and so that's the way I've been taking from all these different visits that I'm making. And sometimes I've seen ensembles that are set up with just 5 rows back, 5 rows across, and they're just in a square, socially distanced. And first chair means nothing anymore in regards to that. It's more of listen to everyone around you. And isn't that what we've been screaming to everyone in this world, period?
No, you're absolutely right. I can't say it any better. And I agree wholeheartedly. And, we're so excited to be back together. And I'm really, you and I have stayed in touch, and we've been talking and doing all this stuff on Zoom, but it's going to be a whole heck of a lot better to sit in the same room with Eugene and talk about music and see you work with our students, and the work that you do every year in and year out, your dedication to the festival, to the students at the festival, the hours of time you spend before we start, the hours that you spend here outside of rehearsals, and just making sure that everybody feels included and connected. It's the reason why you're great at what you do, and we're so lucky to have you as part of our program. So I'm excited. We collectively are excited to see you and see all of the students this summer. We still have our Swanee masks. They're here. Everyone will get one, even if you're vaccinated. We'll have them, and with all of our participants that are watching, if you do, please get vaccinated. Thank you. We'll be happy to have you here. We'll be even happier to have you here if you're vaccinated, and we can welcome our patrons and families and friends back with us. So until then, Gene, it's really nice to get a chance to chat with you and to share some of what we're doing with the conducting program and the Cumberland Orchestra, and we'll stay in touch, and we'll see each other in about a month. Very cool.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Gene. Stick around just for a minute. I'm going to sign off. Thanks, everybody, that watched this. And for more information about the program, you visit our website, really visit our social media. That's where the most up-to-date things are. Our concerts are going to be announced very soon. We have some changes to the schedule this year. So for those of you that have been coming to Swanee programs for years and years and years, expect a slightly different schedule. It's okay. We're all still here. Everything's still going to happen. It's going to look a little bit different. But we're thrilled to be able to make music together again and for all of you. So until then, we'll see you soon. Thanks, Gene. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.